Okay? What do you want to know? I mean,
What's your takeaway from what happened as a member of the Stoneman Douglas
yeah.
Safety Center?
I'm also a commissioner on the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Commission that investigated that horrible shooting of those beautiful children and staff members. And I can tell you the systems and the processes have greatly improved in the state of Florida because of, once again, the legislature and then our governor, currently our senator, our U.S. senator, they acted very quickly. To have one person injured or killed with an active shooter is too much. But look how quickly the intervention came and the remarkable work by the law enforcement officers in Tallahassee. My heart breaks for anyone who lost their life or were injured or emotionally scarred from this. There's always going to be evil among us, but there are good people doing good things, and there are heroes among us that will run in. And we're teaching and coaching, this is the new normal. There's going to be evil people that want to hurt people, and now they have social media, and if you can't be famous, you can always be infamous. And someone said, well, you know, they got mental health problems. I've heard that over, and they got mental health problems. Well, of course they do. Normal people don't shoot people. And certainly normal people don't grab guns and actively go on a rampage. They all have issues. They all have a hitch in their giddy up. None of their brain cells are working right to do that. But the reality of it is, as horrible as it was yesterday, I look at the bright side and say, how much worse could it have been except for those wonderful men and women that raced in to protect. Then the thing that I think just crushes everyone's soul is the Leon County deputy who for 18 years has stood in the gap between good and evil and done what was right, and was currently a school resource officer, as I'm told, the one that will stand in the gap and run into the danger to protect children. It was a child that she apparently adopted at some point in time that did this. It crushes you for anyone to do it, but I think it's a clear illustration that it doesn't make any difference. No one is above the possibility that someone in your family can do something like this. The question always is, what did we know and when did we know it? But I can tell you that no one works for 18 years in law enforcement successfully without being horribly mortified by what happened.
Can you speak a little bit to preparedness, what the Sheriff's Office here does with local universities and how important that is?
Back in the day, before Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, we started a Sentinel program here. In fact, my Sentinel program is almost word for word the State Guardian program. So we started a Sentinel program, and we started at Southeastern University. They were the only ones who would accept this. I met with not the current president of Polk State College, but the former president. I met with a former person that was the superintendent of the public schools, not the current ones. And I met with the SEU, Southeastern president. He said, I think it's great, I think it's visionary, I want to do it. The other two looked at me like I just landed from Mars. Today they don't have to call me a prophet. But that's when it started. We were arguably the first law enforcement agency in the nation. I created an entire division. You have patrol division, investigative divisions. I created an entire division of safe schools. So we now have this robust, very large safe school division. We have a lot of infrastructure in place, and as I've said over and over, having guns on campus is not the first solution, but it's the last best solution to protect people. So there's layers and layers and layers and layers of security systems that we don't talk about, and processes that we don't talk about publicly, but we want children of every age up through college to go to school, to feel comfortable, to feel safe, for it to be a great social environment. We don't want it to feel like they're going to prison every day, and they don't feel that way. But we have a lot of security systems in place. Does that mean it can't happen here? No, it does not. But I can tell you we have reduced the probabilities because we are seeing and taking action on things that we know before they manifest into a real problem. So the number one thing for everybody, if you see something or hear something or feel something, say something. Because almost without exception, when we go back and we look at these active shooters, there has been signs in the past and they ignored them, or they didn't think they were real, or they would go away, or it was just childish talk, almost without exception. One of the biggest security measures we have, beside guns on campus by very well-trained people now, is if somebody says they've got a gun, they're going to shoot, they're going to stab, they got a knife, if they say it, we take it for the absolute truth until we do a complete and thorough investigation and determine, like it is 99 9/10 of the time, childhood chatter, angry chatter by kids. We deal with the right level of intervention, but you don't know you take everyone serious. I can stand here and tell you clearly and unequivocally, if you look this nation over, there's more school districts and more police agencies that aren't prepared for the next shooter than are prepared for the next shooter. But the response at FSU, from everything I've seen and what I know, was remarkable. The notice to the students, the lockdowns, the police response. They did a remarkable job. It crushes me that anyone was hurt or killed, but how many did they save? We'll never be able to measure that.
Quickly, do you think that the Stoneman Douglas Safety Commission will be reviewing this incident?
If our job is to look not only at Marjory Stoneman Douglas, but to look statewide, so I would not be surprised at all if our chair, Sheriff Gualtieri, who, by the way, has done an awesome job as our chair, that doesn't come before us to see. And I think, once again, I've only seen the news reports like you have. It's too soon, it's too new. There'll be after action reports, but at least initially, what I saw was impressive.
Just going off of the discussion about guns on campus, I know there's been discussion about potentially allowing concealed carry on campus. I know people feel one way or the other about it. Is that something in this situation that you think maybe could have been a positive if that was allowed, or do you think the discussion should continue to happen?
Well, you know, you can have the argument on both sides of the issue. Quite frankly, I am not sure that 18 to 22-year-old boys in a frat house on a Friday night need guns. But I can tell you unequivocally, if you had the right person armed with a gun at that moment in time there, and they could have stopped it before it got to where it was. But look, folks, I must tell you that any loss of life, any injury is too much. But that was really compartmentalized compared to what it could have been. It appears from at least the initial reports, and I've tried to search up everything that I could see, that under the circumstances that they were presented, their response was remarkable. Okay? Thank you all very much. Have a great Easter weekend. Bye. Bye-bye.